And what is going on, everyone? And welcome to another edition of the Yards After the Catch podcast. I'm your host, Alex Young. It's good to be back. I've been gone for a little while, but I'm back with two of my favorite in the crew. We got the other Alex, whose name is the same as mine, but it's Alex R.
Oh,
I'll
let me
fix
change
that
that.
for us in a second.
I
We got
got you.
the other Alex. We got Raider Alex. Alex, how you doing?
Good, man. We missed you on the show. We've been holding down the fort for you, but we're happy to have you back. What's going on, brother?
I'm doing great. It's good to be with you again. And our end of our miserable season finally happened this week, and
Yeah.
then another end to a miserable season at the hand of my Giants goes to our Cowboy fan Brian. Brian, it's good to see you again, buddy. How you doing?
You know, I'm a pig in shit. The Dallas Cowboys have the 12th pick after a horrible season, and you know the Giants fumbled the bag and going from 2 to 5. It's a great story for me.
Yeah, you guys made the Giants pick worse. I guess I'm happy with the win. I'm not a part of the crew that wanted to tank, but it is what it is. I would have liked some of that extra draft capital from the Jets, but we'll get into that and more as we got some movement around the league after this final week of the season. But we got a couple of key games that we're just going to recap that took place in the final week that had a lot of playoff stakes, and now, as of today, some coach stakes as well. But we'll start off with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game and the Carolina Panthers game. Um, Pretty much a lot on the line for the playoffs in that game. We were expecting the Panthers to kind of show up, finally, maybe prove to us that they are a decent playoff team. They ended up losing 16-14 in that one. They got some luck in the next game that we're going to discuss in a little bit from New Orleans and Atlanta to sneak their way into the postseason, which is absolutely ridiculous. Uh, but yeah, Bucks missed the postseason after some things. They get the win. It was weird. We thought the Panthers might show a little bit of promise, but again, Buccaneers win a weird game. It was a lot of rain. It was a sloppy game. But again, Buccaneers win 16-14. So Brian, I'll start with you. What were your kind of thoughts on this game? We thought the Buccaneers might dominate. We thought the Panthers might show up and dominate this team. But again, NFC South always weird. So Brian, what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, like you took the words out of my mouth. NFC South is just a weird division, and it's like every week, you really don't know what's going to happen. It's like Forrest Gump of its box of chocolates. You don't know what to expect. It's really the truth. One day Carolina looks like it's beating the Rams, and then the next day they're losing to the Buccaneers, who have been abysmal in the second half of the season. So, it's like it's either one or the other. It's either they're all bad and they just lose consistently and they win every once in a while, or they're all very good and beat up on each other so much that they are bad. That's the NFC South. For this game, really, it came down to, a good run game of Bucky Irving and Baker Mayfield and Rashad White, combining for 140 yards in the game. Kate Otten had a huge game, 7 catches, 94 yards, and a touchdown. And Carolina's defense, which has been decent this year, not great, this fell short of it. I thought I saw a lot of great things out of Bryce Young and McMillan. He ended up hitting his incentive. I'm pretty sure hit 1,000 yards in his rookie deal, so good for him. So did Rico Dowdle. I think he made $1 million on the 7 scrimmage yards, so good for him. Former Cowboy. I think for them going forward, the main thing for me for Carolina going into the playoffs now is identity. Um, are you going to run the football like you did those games where Dowdle was going for 200 a clip, or are you going to stick in the passing game? I need to see a little more creativity in the offense, and that for me is what I feel like is lacking.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll go over the other Alex shortly on this. I agree with you. Again, it was weird kind of weather conditions, so we kind of knew it was going to be a low
Yeah,
scoring, kind of
pouring rain. You're
sloppy,
right.
like pouring
Yeah.
rain. But I agree. Like I was impressed with what we saw from Bryce Young, but there's still something with this Panthers team, and we'll talk about it when we get the playoff preview a little bit. This is like we don't really know what their identity is because again, there'll be
Mhm.
one week where their offense clicks. Same thing with my thing with Denver. It's like there's one week their offense is unstoppable, clicks, it looks great. Okay, this is the future. This looks really good. And then the next week, like you had against the Buccaneers team, it's like up and down. Like Bryce Young made some great throws, especially late in that game. But then they couldn't really get the run game fully going in that. Like it was just this weird dynamic. Their defenses look good at times. So we'll see. But Alex, I'll go over to you kind of off of what Brian said. What were your kind of thoughts on this game as a whole?
Well, I think the weather was really kind of stole the show in terms of the undercurrent of the turnout. the way the game kind of played out. I thought Carolina, they held in there after that rough first half against Tampa. Tampa kind of ran it down their throat, and they were kind of going nuts with Bucky Irving in the first two possessions of the game. So it looked like they were really controlling. They were kind of getting anything they wanted, and they had pace on their side. Then the second half rolls around, and things kind of turn, in Carolina's favor. I thought that the refs unfortunately did kind of turn some of this game. I thought that shadow kind of offensive pass interference on McMillan was really critical. It kind of screwed them. They seem to have 5 penalties for 46 yards that kind of delayed and stalled some of those drives they had with Bryce Young. I mean, there were a couple plays where that front four for Tampa really got after him and made him feel uncomfortable in the pocket, and I thought that was kind of the decision in the game. I thought that Tampa's front four was really the biggest factor in this game. They kept, Carolina for 1 for 8 on third down, really controlled, time of possession, by taking Carolina off the field and letting Tampa just work its offense with short opportunities. So I think moving forward, I think the identity is leaning on that defense and not asking Baker to do as much as he would previously do. He's got the right throwing shoulder injury and those issues, and he's got a bit of a knee as well. So, and they're just banged up across the board. I mean, that's just the lethargy of the whole season. So I thought it was a great win. Obviously, it was a must win, but they just they couldn't get it done with what happened down south. So
Yeah, and that's a good way to transition into what happened in this game that we're going to preview with New Orleans and Atlanta, which pretty much the fate of the Buccaneers was on the hands of the Atlanta Falcons, and we were kind of all like, all right, I don't know if you really want to talk, but they're playing the Saints, and again, the Saints, if they got the win, it would cause a lot of different things. I would give props to the Saints here. They played a really good second half. I think this team is moving in the right place with what they have down
Absolutely.
there. Wait, no, I think Tyler Shue has arrived. Again, is he the future franchise quarterback? I don't know. But he's definitely earned himself to be the starter next year. Like, I will say that. The Saints might draft a
Yeah.
quarterback here. We'll see what they do. But Tyler is going to be your starting quarterback next season, for sure. They end up coming up short 19-17. Atlanta wins and boots Tampa out and then slides Carolina into the postseason. And all of us, I'm not the guy that rips Carolina, okay? Like a lot of people, there's other people on this podcast that don't like Carolina. But Carolina makes their way into the postseason with the Falcons win. Again, props to the Saints making this game close, making it fun. But then, again, we'll talk about it a little bit later with some of the coach movements. Then the Falcons end on a strong note here in the second half. I'll just say right now, they made the coaching changes with Raheem Morris. We'll talk about it a little bit more in a little bit. But the Falcons end on a strong note. They're 8-9. They take out one of their division rivals in the Buccaneers. I don't know if they're happy that Carolina's in or they've won, whatever the case might be, or they missed out on winning the division because the NFC South is so weird. But with that, I'll go over to you, Alex. What were your kind of thoughts on this game with some of the playoff implications and a team getting knocked out in the division because of a win?
more voodoo in the bayou. I thought this was just typical classic way for the NFC South to finish out. You're right about Raheem Morris. I think that he won to save face, but ultimately he very much underperformed in his tenure in Atlanta. We know that the team has had studs for years at the offensive key positions. They really kind of didn't really fulfill what they were kind of promised for Falcons fans. But moving forward, I think if you're New Orleans, you got to be really excited about this team because the heart of a team is how you finish the year when there's no hope of making the playoffs. And they won, they won consecutive games in the last 6 weeks of the season. I went into the regular season thinking that they were going to be the worst team in the league, and they pulled out 6 wins. So it's a huge kudos to the coach down there. And I just think, the reality is it's very easy now with salary cap league to go from first to worst and worst to first. So I think that you're never really ruled out, especially with how marginal this division has been in the past few years post Brady era. And there's a lot of coaching movement, but I think that they have probably the second most solid ground to stand on behind Carolina if you're looking towards the next 5 years, even maybe towards the next 3 years.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like I said, I think this is more I know they ended up, and it's weird. Like we're talking about a team that lost, but the future kind of does look bright for them, and especially in that division that is usually wide open. I mean, we thought the Bucks were going to dominate that division, and earlier in the year we all thought it. They started off fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Then the injuries started to pile up. Then they started playing sloppy, and we saw what happened at the end of their season, right?
Yep.
So going forward now is like, okay, if the Bucks don't really get younger and key positions and make some adjustments, this division is wide open, and I think the Saints are no more going to be this bottom fed team that we all thought they were. Like again, like you just said, they ended their second half with a strong note. I think they really love their head coach, Kellen Moore. Like, I think things are promising. Again, their franchise quarterback is a question mark, but at least we know he's going to play next year. Like, at least they have
Right.
that continuity, especially, excuse me, in a weak quarterback draft this year. So, we're off to the Saints. Falcons, again, they finish 8-9, finish a disappointing season. We had a little bit more expectations for the Falcons, especially on that offense. And they have a lot of question marks now because they completely cleared house. And like I said, we'll get into a little bit of a talk there. But Brian, I'll go to you kind of quickly. What were your thoughts on this matchup, especially with some of the playoff implications that it had?
Yeah, people think I'm crazy when I talk about offensive rookie of the year, and a lot of people go immediately to McMillan because, he's number one on Carolina with 1,000 yards. In my opinion, Tyler Show is offensive rookie of the year for me. Just when he came in and he won 5 games,
Yeah.
and running the ball, throwing the ball, he's accurate, 68% completion percentage. Like I think he has like 2,800 yards or 2,200 yards, 2,384. 10, 6 TDINT, and he's just making. I've watched a few Saints games this season, and he's making a lot of, you know, NFL veteran plays, and it's what I want to see in quarterback development. I think being with Kellen Moore, who was a former quarterback, is a huge help for him as a head coach. And this team is built, I think, for a good run. I see going forward in this weak division in the NFC South. Like Jawan Johnson, who not a lot of people really know about at tight end, almost had 900 yards receiving this year. He's 26th in the league, and no one even thinks of him as even for the Pro Bowl this year. Olave is still playing well. He's rebounded after concussions. The defense, it's middle of the pack in the sense of it's aging a little bit, but it still is replenishing.
Yep.
Chase Young Chase Young had a comeback player of the year kind of season this year, putting up I think 60 tackles and 10 sacks. You know, really playing out. Here. So then they have the bright future. Atlanta, I think, to be honest, to win is embarrassing because if you beat the Jets, you would have won the division.
Yeah.
You know, there was
Else.
just so many missed
Yeah.
opportunities
Yeah.
for
Exactly.
so many missed opportunities this year. And I think the main issue it was at quarterback. I think Michael Penix with the letting go of the GM as well as the head coach of Atlanta. I would not be shocked if we also see a new quarterback come in, if not Kirk Cousins stepping into year 3 of his deal, as the incumbent starter over Penix with the ACL injury.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Mhm.
Cousins played lights out, in my opinion. So once he started, he went on I think it was a 4-1 or a
I think they finished with 4 wins, but let me
four
look.
wins. I'm trying to think when he
Yeah.
started though.
They ended with
Let's
four
Started
see.
Tampa.
wins, but
Yeah, he
he
started
ended. Yeah.
with the Jet. All right, he went on a 5-2 run.
Yeah.
They
That's
won 8
solid.
games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Solid numbers. He unlocked Kyle Pitts, who only person that's ever been able to do it is Matt Ryan, year 1 rookie.
Yeah.
Like, this team has all the pieces to be successful. And you have a benefit now is that you actually transferred over all the guaranteed money and roster bonus to Cousins. The next year, he's only 2.1 million of actual cap space next year because they converted into roster bonus this year and 10 million in the beginning. So now you have extra space on a team that just needs a little more help here or there. A wide receiver too, maybe some help on defense. You get the right guy in place. This team as well could be taking the division. So I think the years of Tampa are dying. I think Carolina has a one shot this year,
Mm.
and then it's going to have some trouble. It's going to be a three-headed monster trying to make it every year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the division is going to be interesting. Again, the Falcons have a bunch of offensive talent. They have to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. I know we just said, Kirk Cousins restructured his deal. they have all the pieces in place to have the success going forward. They have to nail this GM and head coach hire, which again is getting interesting with a lot more candidates out today as well. But moving along, we're going to go to another game that had playoff implications, seeding implications. Was an exciting game all around. It was the Seahawks and the 49ers, which had a lot of juice in that game. Obviously, divisional game. We thought it was. I thought myself, and I bet the over on this. I thought this was going to be an offensive shootout. I
Yeah.
was way wrong. Seahawks win 13-3, and then a lot of going into this was, can Darnold win the big game? The last few years, he's kind of stumbled down the stretch. Um, but he did everything he needed to do. He was efficient. 20 of 26, 198. Seahawks win 13-3. They claim the number one seed. And again, I don't you don't really see the 49ers GM pissed off. But there was a shot after one of the big plays of the
Oh.
game. You could
Mhm.
you could see him in
Oh
his
yeah.
booth yell like what the f what the fuck just happened. I started laughing because you don't really see him pissed off, but he was pissed off that they were going to lose this game, especially with what was on the line, and especially off with the 49ers. Shout out to them because with all their injuries, for them to finish 12-5 was also impressive. But again,
Mhm.
Seahawks win this game 13-3. Alex, I'll go to you. What was your kind of thoughts on the game overall, which we all thought was going to be an offensive shootout, but it ended up not being the case?
I can't remember my prediction from the week prior, but I did predict a low scoring game. I think the over under was around 40. Um, First off, shout out to Kyle Shanahan for the coaching job he's done this year. He may not win Coach of the Year, but he definitely is right up there. We take him for granted because of their years past in the Super Bowl, but just did an absolutely stunner job with the injuries they had across this roster. I This is what the best offensive, I mean, the best scoring defense in the league looks like. They pretty much neutralized Purdy, a guy who was red hot the last 2 weeks, coming back from injury, making things happen against the Bears, lighting them up. And I thought they really just controlled the pace of the game, kept San Francisco to 53 yards on the ground. They got home multiple times, I believe, on Brock Purdy. Yeah, they got home 3 times. So it's just I think, like you said, it really boils down to, could Sam win the big game? Clearly, he can, but they do have a way of winning games if they're going to make a Super Bowl push. And I think you need to lean on that defense. Kudos to Mike McDonald. He dialed up a great game plan. He knows his team like the back of his hand, and they really dominated the off. They really dominated the entirety of this game. I mean, they won time of possession by 15 minutes. They were over 50% on third down, which is a clutch sign that Darnold is ready for this type of magnitude of game. And they're the number one seed. And, you just got to take your hats off to the turnaround that they've made with the pieces they've acquired in the offseason, making the best of their dual twin running back scheme that they have, and trying to not screw it up the way that other teams in years past have. So I was just very impressed overall by this whole win.
Yeah, I agree. I had the Seahawks this year as my team to watch. You guys now understand why I nailed that
Mhm.
The
one.
Oracle.
I said it would be interesting to watch how Sam Darnold is with the new team. It was
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell effect. Was that going to be a thing? It was not. Sam Darnold is here to stay. Again, back to back multi 10+ win seasons for him.
Yep.
Again, just came in right away and turned this Seahawks team into a legitimate contender. And I also said their defense. I said that if their defense tightened up, they would be a really decent unit to look at. And as you can see, they are looking pretty damn good, and it hurts me because there's two former Giants who always want to stick
I
around with the
know.
Giants, and we let them go. And now you see what they're doing on a competent team in Seattle.
Well, how do you think he feels with DeMarcus Lawrence tearing shit up in
Yeah,
Seattle?
that's too. That too.
And you don't understand the aggravation. DeMarcus Lawrence, once getting paid by Dallas, got hurt 3 years in a row. He leaves and he becomes the best version of himself.
He's
Yeah.
balling.
The best
I,
version of himself since we saw him earlier in his career. I will say that. 'Cause he was a
no,
wrecking
honestly,
ball.
to be honest, I think he's better. I think he's better than when he got the contract.
Before
Yeah.
before we pass it to Brian too, I want to mention another interesting stat that was wild. I think Sam Darnold's the only quarterback in NFL history to win 13 win seasons back to back with two different teams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wild shit.
Who would have thought? Sam Darnold, everyone, the guy who was seeing ghosts on national television, sets an NFL record
Yeah.
with we might not ever see again. That's like crazy to think about. Like that's a stat that's gonna be there for a while. Like I don't
That's
think
going to be
that's
there a
gonna break.
while.
It's gonna be there a
Yeah.
little while. It's gonna be interesting to see because not too many times you let a 13 win quarterback leave in free agency. So
Walk.
there's that. Brian, I'll go to you. What was your kind of thoughts on the game overall and looking forward, looking ahead after that win by Seattle?
Kyle Shanahan's my coach of the year, personally, just the way he's playing right now. I'm coaching and what he did with this team this
Mm,
year. The Defensive Player of the Year award should go to Robert Saleh, shouldn't even go to a player, just because this man is a mastermind at just putting pieces together in the right position after getting a decimated injury
yeah,
bug defense. Worse than the Detroit this year, to be
yeah.
honest with you.
You lose two Hall of
Um,
Famers on your defense, and they're doing
yeah,
what they're doing.
and they look phenomenal. The fact that this game was combined 16 points is kudos to both defenses. The 49ers are they really needed this win because personally, I think if they got the number one seed, if it worked out that way, or the number two, whatever it was going to be, um, it would have really solidified them on a nice solid run because the home field advantage really helps when you're injured. And you just get that crowd noise in there to really just shake things up. It's gonna be a little tough now in away in the playoffs, but they're still a very competent team. Shout out to Christian McCaffrey for being the first player ever to have 900 twice in your career.
Yeah.
Stick. I wish he got 100 receiving in this game to be able to get it, but he didn't, so be it. And they're playing well. Seattle, on the other hand, I really like them. I love them. I believe I picked them and the Rams to be very competent this year in the beginning of the season. Seattle reminds me of the 28-3 Atlanta Falcons, the way they're built.
Yeah.
Solid defense,
Mm,
JSN's Julio. You have a two-headed beast like Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman, and Sam Darnold reminds me of Matt Ryan all the time. A little bit more mobile. It's exactly the kind of style I like to see. Um, I think the real winner of this game, besides the defense, was the run game. 39 carries for a buck
yeah.
80 and a touchdown. Um, and it does aggravate me that Charbonnet, is the red zone guy and Kenneth Walker gets no love. But today he actually got love and was running around all crazy. And he actually, I'm pretty sure I saw a smile from him on the sideline. It was a good day. If they could use the both of them to kill clock and rely on the defense, it's less pressure on Darnold and it decreases your win percentage. That should be their formula going through here. Rely on the things that got you there, and that's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And again, the Seattle clinched the number one, so they're going to have a lot of time to prep here. Um, Again, they could look at two of their opponents, and we'll talk about that in our preview. They're either going to have the Rams or the Panthers, most likely the Rams. We'll discuss it, like I said, in a little bit. But they have time to prepare, and it could be interesting, especially if they have a divisional game against the Rams. But
Yeah.
yeah, big win. They clinched number one seed. They have the rest up. They'll heal up. Seattle's a team to look out for. Like I said, we'll preview and pick our winners coming up in a little bit. But the last game that we're going to talk about from Week 18 is probably the craziest game of the weekend. Uh, Divisional game, Baltimore Pittsburgh. Winner wins the division, and it was as fun of a game to watch as you can get. Back and forth, the rivalry was there, the juice was there. Uh, Rodgers making big plays, Lamar making big play. Looked like we saw the old Lamar back at times. And again, late in that game, looks like Pittsburgh's going to get the win with the late touchdown. Uh, Extra points missed, and all of us in our group chat were like, "The robot missed. What? What's going on here? Okay, this is interesting." Baltimore goes right up the field. Lamar throws a perfect pass to Isaiah Likely. He catches it. They're in field goal range. We'll discuss in a second here. I didn't like the decision of kind of being a little conservative there with the extra timeout. They nailed it, and their rookie kicker on the Ravens shanked it right, and Pittsburgh hangs on to win that game, win the division in a heartbreaking way. That has ripple effects, like I said, we're going to talk about after this game with the Steelers getting a 26-24 win. Brian, I'll go to you to start this. What were your thoughts on what was a wild game to end our season?
This is old Smash Mouth football, and I absolutely loved every part of it. This is the kind of football that we grew up on, gritty throughout, not a lot of scoring. Then out of nowhere, fourth quarter, boom, drive, 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 win, shank. amazing, right? That's the kind of football I like to see. Pittsburgh, I'm very impressed with them. A lot of adversity, just even on their roster. Age, that's their biggest one. Age is their biggest enemy here. And lack of talent, especially at the wide receiver position. You know, in the last 2 games without DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers has been able to put it together with Arthur Smith. Rely on the run game and rely on mainly, honestly, Kenneth Gainwell won them the last 2 games just out of the receiving game. I think he led both games in receiving yards. This game, 8 of 64 out of the backfield, outdoing it. Calvin Austin clutch catch for the touchdown win. I like to see Aaron Rodgers. He's always been a favorite of mine. It's nice to see he got emotional after the game. It's probably his last go around in the season. They're saying, it's nice to see him to get this win and make a push for the playoffs with some home field advantage in the first round, wild card. Baltimore, you know, I wasn't high on them after Lamar came back. It just didn't feel right. Supposedly now there's rumors coming out there. There's always been some type of
Rift, yeah.
rift between him and Harbaugh. Supposedly Lamar slacks a little bit in the locker room and sleeps in meetings on occasion and doesn't really do his own thing with the injuries and everything like that. It is dysfunctional. I hate when people blame a kicker for missing a field goal. It's the hardest thing to do in the NFL. You're literally just praying. You
Especially in
you
clutch
kick,
form.
clutch in playoff moment. Legs been
Outdoors.
outdoors, cold, windy. It's an away game. Plus, the ball can sail. Wind direction can change at any moment, and it's dead on, and then it goes 3 feet to the right, and that's it. Like no one really understands that the psyche that goes into kicking. It's an extremely hard position in the game. You let a team with no wide receiver one or no wide receiver two to score 26 points.
Mhm.
It's not the kicker's fault. It's that Lamar Jackson threw a very unneeded interception that led to a score, and your defense let up 26 points to a high school offense just regarding quality of players in the receiving room. And that's being nice, to be honest with you. They have Adam Thielen at 55 years old making catches as the wide receiver one in this game. You got to step up. That's why the coaching change happened. There's no discipline or any type of hold to this team. They're not stepping up. Roquan Smith is a shell of himself. So there's a little problem here. And also, yet again, the same story. Derrick Henry only getting 5 carries in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
What are we doing? The man at his age could still put up 200 a clip when he wants to. The goal should be first down, Derrick Henry. Second down, Derrick Henry. Third down, Derrick Henry. Oh, it's 4th and 1. RPO, Derrick Henry. If not, Lamar, pull it and go to the fucking moon.
Yeah.
No, yeah. No, I
Also,
agree.
lack of a wide receiver too.
That too.
You bring in DeAndre Hopkins. A year ago, he put up quality numbers, 600 something yards. Year before 1,000 on Tennessee with fucking Will Levis. Pardon my French. Why you're doing triple tight end with Zay Flowers on the outside? And what, you don't think maybe we should do some splits and actually throw out DeAndre Hopkins, the best wide receiver of the decade?
No, I agree. They had the miscommunication too late in the game. That would have changed everything. He had like 20 yards in front of him, and for some reason Lamar did a shovel instead of
Yeah,
trying to tell him to hey, just go
yeah,
for a second. I'm
yeah.
gonna shovel it to you because
Yeah.
I was like he
But
was
that's
really
lack of
effective.
that's lack of practice
Yeah,
reps,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Wide receiver 3, he's tapped out now.
Yeah,
It's the end of the season because no
yeah,
one wants
and he
to
was
give
hanging
him.
out by the sideline too. He was
Yeah,
on this, so he would have to make a quick change and then get the shovel and the
exactly,
whole thing.
exactly. So it's just so much wrong in this
Yeah,
team. Mark Andrews shelve himself 3-year
yeah,
extension.
yeah.
There's no sense or rhyme or reason.
But you also have someone again, you give an extension to Mark Andrews, but sorry, Isaiah Likely at this point of his career is to me the more promising prospect than
Yeah,
Mark Andrews.
based
And I
on the
understand,
style. Yeah, based on the
yeah,
style
on
right
how
now,
you
right?
want to run your offense now.
Yes.
Again, Mark Andrews is a reliable vet. Don't get me wrong, but he's not the super athletic tight end he was a few years ago.
Yeah,
That's
no.
now Isaiah
Nope.
Likely. You
Oh yeah.
just saw that catch he made. That
Yep.
catch was insane. To be
Yeah,
able to make that turn around and find the ball in that
yeah.
condition on that play was crazy. And I'm like, okay, that's what Mark Andrews used to do, but now he's old. Why are you giving him a bigger extension? If you wanted to give him an extension at cheaper money, sure, but like the last few years, you saw him on the downward trend, not the
Yeah,
upward.
but once he dropped that 2 point conversion,
Yeah,
his career spiraled.
his,
That's it.
yeah. It's unfortunate, and that happens to players over time. It just sticks with them. Like that mentally messed him up because that
Yeah,
would have changed that whole trajectory of that season, that whole trajectory of everything for that Ravens team at that time, and he dropped it. And again, I don't think he ever really recovered from that. I think he like second guessing a lot. But
yeah, he's got the yips now.
yeah, but with that loss, like I said, we were teasing it for the most part. We'll talk a lot of the coaches firing, but a few hours before we were getting ready to go today, we got the news that John Harbaugh is out as Baltimore Ravens head coach. This comes after Black Monday, where we saw Raheem Morris, Pete Carroll, we saw a couple other
Stefanski.
Stefanski, all gone. We were thinking, okay, that's kind of your court. The three that we kind of were expecting. We're maybe thinking Harbaugh, right? We were thinking that, okay, maybe that was going to be the case at some point, but he survived Monday. So we're like, okay, they're probably bringing him back. Nope. A few hours ago, it was announced that Harbaugh is gone after 18 plus years in the Super Bowl with
Yeah.
Baltimore. I think we were kind of seeing this, and I'll say this first, and I'll toss to you guys for your reactions. I think we all kind of were seeing that the loser of this game was most likely going to make a coaching change. Both of them
Absolutely.
were there for
Yeah.
15 plus
Yep.
years. Was their voice tracking? Was this going to be the end? As crazy as it sounds, right? Because again, Harbaugh's been there a bunch of years. Tomlin's been there a bunch of years. At some point, the voice goes a little dry, and especially with this Ravens team, the last few seasons where they were, in our opinion, probably the top three team in the AFC, they have fallen short of expectations time and time again, especially this year, where we thought that they were going to go back, they were going to do the Super Bowl. Like all of us, I think, all agreed at some
Hmm.
point they were going to be a top 10 team. So I'm not surprised by Harbaugh being gone because I think this game we're kind of thinking that way. Again, it is shocking though because he becomes the number one candidate to as the head coach on the market right now, unless he decides to take a gap year, which I don't think he's going to. So
No.
after a bunch of years in Baltimore and a good amount of success, I'm not saying he was a bad coach. Like he is one of the best coaches we've seen recently. Baltimore decides to move on. So Brian, I'll start with you. Do you think Baltimore made the right decision here? I think you're agreeing with what I had to say, but
Yeah,
what are your
absolutely.
thoughts? Again, we've seen him on the sideline for almost 20 years in Baltimore. That's no more right now. What are your kind of thoughts and your initial reaction to the news?
I mean, I think he should have been fired about 5 years ago. They haven't won a Super Bowl since 2013. In
Yeah.
my opinion, a Super Bowl gains you a rookie contract extension, 4 years with the rookie extension five. If you win a Super Bowl and in 5 years you can't produce to get another one, yeah, as a Dallas Cowboy fan, right? I'm in the eternal purgatory of 10-6, losing the divisional. That means nothing to me. You know, there's no reason from the Flacco team was phenomenal even after Ray Lewis left with a Terrell Suggs led defense
Mm-hmm.
and C.J. Mosley and Elvis Dumervil. They were loaded on defense. Flacco was serviceable. They kept Flacco too long. He shot probably should have been cut the year after the Super Bowl and brought in a new guy. That this team with that defense for at least the first 5 of the last 12 years could have probably won another Super Bowl or two just after that first one, right? And then in the Lamar, there's no reason why they weren't in the AFC Championship every single season.
Yeah, I agree.
So at some point, it becomes like the way I think about it is John Harbaugh is like the Alex Smith of coaching. Great, sometimes good all the time, reliable, trustworthy, disciplined, knows all the intangibles, manages the game. Can he win you the big game when you put the right pieces around him? Yes, you can. But
Yeah.
when it's not fully in together, there's problems, right? So I think he'll get a coaching job absolutely because people don't want to lose. They rather go some people for just business and it's money at the end of the day. Coaching. I mean, the NFL they don't want to go 3-13. They want to go 10-6, right? So he'll get a job. But I need the next time he becomes a coach, I need to see more. I just haven't seen it. Same thing
Yeah.
with Tomlin though. One Super Bowl in what 18 years? Great, you've had a winning record in a weak division, with the Browns and dysfunctional Bengals for a decade. Like great, good for you, but what really did you do? It's the same story. You had the triplets in Bell, Brown, and Roethlisberger for a decade, right? And you did nothing besides one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Crazy. I know.
No,
You know?
it is. No, I agree. Again, me as a Giants fan, I will take Harbaugh. Like I want,
Oh, of course.
I don't want Shane to let him out of the building. Like
Yeah.
I think he's the perfect fit for the Giants. Right? Again, I just think it was time for Baltimore. Like, and Alex, I'll go to your reaction in a second, but like, I
Yeah.
think it was time. Like, I think his voice wasn't hurt, and I agree, Brian, to some extent about not having the success that you need. And I'll pose this, Alex, and get your reaction, and then we can talk this
Yeah.
question too. I do now with this Harbaugh news. Now think what happens with Tomlin, because what if they lose? And we could talk about it in the preview, but and I'll get your reaction, Alex. So both you both, and we can bounce around after. But I wonder if now that Harbaugh's gone, is Pittsburgh looking at this and saying, okay, if we lose in the first round again with Tomlin, are they going to let him go? I think that's now an interesting thing. But Alex, I'll get your reaction to the Harbaugh news, and then you can react to kind of what I said about now this Tomlin aspect. Now that Harbaugh's out of
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Yeah, well, you took the words out of my mouth. I think, spoiler alert, I think Tomlin will be out if they lose a week from now, which I think they very well will because Houston's an animal. They're the hottest team in the AFC.
Mm.
No, I mean, I expected this coming. I'm kind of with you guys, just not necessarily on the timeline agreement with Brian. I don't think you necessarily get 4 years promised just because you win a Super Bowl. I think you're actually afforded a longer bandwidth, but I think you have to put up consistently. I mean, going back to 2013, they went 500, which is obviously underperforming, but then they went 10-6. They bounced back 511, and they went 509-7. And then once he gets Lamar, 10-6, 14-2, 11-5. I think this really is more about Lamar than it is Harbaugh. But I understand it's low hanging fruit because you've had a coach for 18 years and you've really maxed out with where you're going as a team. So something's got to give, and it's usually the coach in this situation. Um, I think the Lamar question has been an issue all year. I think when you rewind the tape to that Pittsburgh game, I would have liked, as a coaching decision, for Harbaugh to kind of maybe spoil some of the playmaking and maybe dial up some plays for Huntley because he just had a phenomenal game in Green Bay. That would have soured this defense for Pittsburgh and putting them on their heels a bit. This offense is made for both of them, and you know that Huntley serviceable and can provide things that Lamar maybe can't with a bad back or a hammy. So I just think that it's low hanging fruit to fire him. It was well overdue. I totally agree with you guys on that. I think Tomlin's time has come after next Monday if they lose to Houston, which I think they will.
Ryan, real quick, kind of with Tomlin,
Yeah.
do you think he's going to be on the outs now that Harbaugh's gone to Baltimore if they lose to the Texans this week?
I think he's going to want to go. I don't even think they're going to want to fire him. I think it's going to be a mutual decision.
Yeah,
No, I think he's a little tired himself of Pittsburgh at this point, the way the season felt, just in the press room and everything like that. It feels like a change of pace. I think personally, Atlanta would be perfect for Mike Tomlin. I just see that as a good spot where they need help on defense and they just need stability of someone that could lead the
yeah,
ship well and just let the
Mm-hmm.
offense, the way that offense is, Kyle Pitts, Bijan, Drake London, I see the triplets again. You add in a competent quarterback. Kirk Cousins could be your Big Ben. I think you just need someone to just keep it all together at the
together.
same time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't hate it. Like again, with me as a Giants fan, I would take either Harbaugh or Tomlin with things. I think if he's gone, again has becomes one of the top guys. Other than I think Kevin Stefanski. Um, yeah, I mean this is gonna be interesting. A head coaching cycle, like we said. We don't have to go deep dive on all the head coaches and everyone that got fired and everything like that. We kind of saw things. I'm interested with Stefanski, just as me as a Giants fan, but it is to me funny in that Cleveland pulled that off. Like that Cleveland fired a guy that instantly becomes number one on all these other teams, like
It's
offenses.
two-time head coach of the year.
Yeah,
Like
And didn't
it,
fire their GM.
it didn't fire
yeah.
their GM.
No, listen, it's not his fault, and it's all coming to light
No,
finally now. He didn't want to draft. He didn't want to draft Shador Sanders. He
Yep.
didn't want to trade for Deshaun Watson,
no,
right? So he never got his quarterback. Never got his quarterback. He wanted Dylan Gabriel.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted him way too high. He was not. He's not an NFL quarterback. That
No.
backfired.
no.
This season went to shit. Shador actually started playing decent, but he's throwing kinks in it as well. And at the end of the day, writings on the wall. They should have kept Baker and rode Baker out. They would have been
They should have.
fine. You know, the guy had a bad shoulder for a season, and they just didn't let him rest.
Yeah.
You
No.
know,
Yeah.
but he's great. He's a great builder. If I'm the Ravens, I like Stefanski.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of teams that are Tennessee. Obviously, I think he just interviewed with the Giants. The
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, the Giants, the Ravens. I think there's a lot of teams that are going to be interested.
Cardinals,
In the
like
Cardinals, like he's going to be a top guy. Like to me, I think all of us as football fans. But even if you're not, like if you just know the organization of Cleveland, like they messed up. But again, he becomes a top guy, and everyone is like, it wasn't his fault.
yeah,
Like you're a
and I
two-time coach
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
year in Cleveland. You're
yeah,
yeah,
in Cleveland.
and it's not even
yep.
messing up. I would say sometimes it doesn't work anymore,
Yeah,
right? And it's like I always say this, right? It's like, yeah, would I love to have John Harbaugh as a Dallas Cowboy head coach right now? I drop Shoddy. I love Shoddy. In 5 seconds and demote him to OC and make Harbaugh the head coach, right? But it just wouldn't work with Jerry Jones. Like you got to know the owner, and the owner and GM of Cleveland, they just don't mesh with these creative kind
no,
of head coaches. Stefanski is more of a Bill Belichick kind of. He's the pseudo GM trying to create and build over there. It is in their style over there. So like you need to find a coach that everyone's like, oh, that coach is going to be great there. You got to fit the mold, right? So that's in this next coaching hire for them. They really have to look at themselves and go, who's going to actually fit us for us?
yeah. But
I think
yeah,
Brian Flores is a great fit in Cleveland. To be honest
Oh
with
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I
you, he's
agree.
tough, hard nosed. He comes from that part of the country. You know, he's worked wonders with that defense. I mean, he's had his shot in Miami, and the only difference was that he didn't have his quarterback. Well, you might
Yeah,
have that with Shador now.
yeah. I
yeah,
mean, him and Jim Schwartz as a head coach DC would probably be the
Yep.
two,
yeah. But also,
best minds.
yeah. But I was also like Flores also kind of got driven out of Miami.
Right. But it was
he
Yeah,
all a lot of it had to do with that Herbert Tua draft.
yeah,
yeah,
no. I agree. There's some instances of like that, but there was more like to me like when Flores got fired at the time, I was just like, that's a dumb decision because you kind of got like driven out of Miami. It
I
wasn't like
agree.
yeah,
like there was the piece like he was building something
He
there
was
and he
building
kind of
something.
yeah,
got yanked too soon. I
Yep.
think he'd be good at Cleveland. Again, I just don't really trust like the Cleveland ownership and the
Oh,
GM.
I
Like
yeah,
they've
yeah.
made mistakes
yeah.
time and
No,
time again, and they try to make these like big moves and it consistently backfires. They need to also I know what you said, Brian. Like they have to look at themselves, get the right coach here, but they also have to look at themselves and be like, hey,
Yep.
yeah,
let's kind of redial this whole thing because we swung big and we
Yep.
missed
yeah.
massively. But
Hey,
again,
I wouldn't be shocked if Dion doesn't get a call for an interview.
no, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Like I would be Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if
Yeah,
we get calls around the league. Like it's gonna be
yeah,
interesting to see the Dion thing. But
yeah.
that was kind of recapping that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we're not going to go too deep dive into coach firings. We'll talk about that probably in our offseason, the next 2 weeks in
Yep.
playoffs as we get some more news. But it's playoff season, but it's also award season. So we'll go kind of quickly because again, we don't want to go too long here because we got to preview the playoffs quickly as
Yep.
well. So I'm gonna trim down some of the awards, but we'll do the key ones. I think there's one last one that we'll like pass on, but we're going to look at MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year. I guess we can do both rookie, offensive, and defensive. Comeback Player of the Year and Coach of the Year. So I guess we'll start off with the biggest award, and we kind of go quick with our points here if you want. MVP. There's a couple of names that are popping up, mainly Matt Stafford and Drake May. It's kind of their awards because I think a lot of people are flip flopping on who's going to win it right now. You can also throw in Miles Garrett in the equation there for MVP if you really wanted to, but I don't think he's going to get the accolades there. He's going to get the other award we're going to talk about in a second. But Alex, right now, who do you have? Who you're picking for MVP?
I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm going with Stafford. At 37 years of age, never won it. 46 touchdowns, number one in the league. 4707 total. That's first in the league, and QBR second overall. I just think he's had a perfect year. Had a couple of little black eyes, but the quality of wins were better than New England's quality of wins, and that's kind of what I'm judging.
Yeah, I agree with you. As much as I've loved Drake May throughout the year, I think this is going to be the weird year where like age is going to help Matt
Going to go the other
Stafford
way.
Yeah,
go the
seniority
other
definitely
way.
Yeah,
matters
I
here.
think seniority is going to help because
yeah.
I think people are going to be like, well, if this is Drake May right now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from
Exactly.
now, he's going to be consistently an MVP. Where this is probably Stafford's last shot at MVP. So I'm going to give it to Stafford. Although I've loved Drake May throughout the whole year, and he is as
Me too.
deserving as it comes to also get the MVP, but it can only go to one person, and I think it's going to go to Stafford, like you said, Alex, for your points. Never won, older, his last shot. I think Stafford's going to win, especially at his age and the year he had. Brian, who are you going with MVP?
Yeah, no, same exact thing. Stafford for everything you guys said. Also, a lot of people got to remember is he almost didn't play this year because of a back injury.
Back injury, yeah.
Yeah.
And he played. What's going to end up finding out is that he played the entire season with like 2 slip discs. Like that's probably like if I remember, it's like the same injury Romo had that ended his career basically. He had in the off season after last season with like a herniated disc. So for him to do all this, first in yards and touchdowns, second in QBR, top team in the league, he has to get it. Just has to. No, I don't know how. He might be unanimous. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be. It could be, but I don't know if it's going to. I think there's going to be a few people that slide with May on that award. All right, so we'll move over to Defensive Player of the Year. I think we're going to all agree.
Want to all say it at once?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Alex does. All right, so me and Brian agree. It's Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
It's Myles Garrett. It's Myles Garrett set the single season sack record. I have a
thing about that though.
Okay, Brian, give me your thing, and then I'll go to Alex for his counter.
I agree with Michael Strahan. There needs to be an asterisk. He didn't get the record in 16 games. He needed this extra game, half for the half sack. I personally think there needs to be an asterisk against that he has the record.
I don't hate that. Again, Giants bias a little bit, but also there's the Favre dive for Strahan, so that will always be a debate that Favre dive to give him that. And a lot of people are going to debate the Garrett one too because Burrow did kind of just.
Oh yeah, he saw him coming and just.
He saw him coming, and he saw, the D tackle was coming forward, and then he saw Garrett on the corner of his eye. Was like, yeah,
there's 50 grand in a Manila envelope in a Bengals locker right now that says from Myles Garrett
because he was going to get destroyed from the front end. He was just like, screw it, I'll just go down. But yeah, like you said, I know Strahan said that he did it in less games, and he was kind of poking fun at Myles Garrett. But I do agree with Brian. It's incredible that he did it, but he did get that extra game. Where if you look back in history, the others, Gastineau and Strahan, both had less games to do it.
Yeah.
But again, all in all, impressive season. Regardless, even if
2 5-sack games, no one's ever done that before.
Games, like unbelievable year. I thought he was going to shatter the single season sack record. Like last time I was on the podcast when we were talking about it, but he ends up just beating it by 1. But again, impressive season. I don't think there's a shot he loses that award. But Alex, I'll go to you. Who do you think should be Defensive Player of the Year?
So again, this is not my hill to die on. Just a preface before the knives come out in the comment section. Nothing against Myles Garrett. He's the face of that franchise. He's a stud, all-time sack leader, probably one day soon. Well, yeah, obviously. So, but for this single season, I'm going to take Will Anderson in Houston. Now, the reason I am, and hear me out, again, this is not my hill to die on, but I just want to give a lot of love to that defense. He had 12 sacks, which is 8th in the league, 54 total tackles. He was 4th in tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Houston's defense, as the 5th best team in the AFC and possibly, the hottest team in the AFC right now, they were top 7, top 6 in every statistical category on defense, and he's the reason why. In total defense, he was first. They were first overall. Scoring D, second overall. I mean, it was just them in Seattle the whole year across the statistical analysis. And I just want to give a lot of love to him because he gets kind of lost in the weeds because they have studs on that defense. But I'm looking at quality of wins. I'm looking at strength of schedule. And I'm looking at how good your team really is. Because, again, this is the same reason I kept my own guy, Max Crosby, out of the Defensive Player of the Year conversation for years on end with TJ and Myles, was because they sucked. They always sucked. At least Pittsburgh was playing for things, which is why TJ kind of won out in my mind. So I have to factor that in if I'm going to be, critically honest. And I just think that, I'm totally fine with Myles Garrett winning it, but I will give some love, and I think that Will Anderson should get a look.
Yeah, no, I don't.
No, it's good point.
It's a good point. We'll keep it quick. Yeah, I don't hate the pick. I think there was times for me when I was watching those Texas games where he was the game wrecker. Like I was like, he is absolutely dominating. Like the game against the Bills, like I haven't seen Josh Allen frustrated like that in quite some time, and it was because Will Anderson was wreaking
absolutely
havoc. So I don't hate that pick. I thought you were going to go Max Crosby, and I was going to be like, hey, now.
No.
Yeah, no way.
Whoa, buddy. But Will Anderson.
He didn't play the last 2 games now. Come on.
Yeah. Will Anderson, not a
Yeah,
bad pick. Again, I think he should get some love, and I think the
hmm
voters will give him some love too. Because again, that team's hot,
absolutely.
but that defense at times was absolutely
hmm
special, and it was
Yeah.
because he was just
Yeah.
making play after play
hmm
after play after play. So moving
Okay,
along,
I'll make
yes,
one more defensive comment, not for player of the year, but just accolade
yeah,
of a decalogue of quality. Bobby Wagner joined the 2000 club in his last game as the third person to have 2,000 combined tackles with London Fletcher and Ray Lewis. And if this is his last season, he ends perfectly at 2,000,
that's pretty awesome.
which is a
Pro-
nice crisp
yeah,
number for the Hall of Fame. So congrats to
Yeah.
easily the most consistent linebacker I've ever seen in my entire life
yeah,
of every single season of 100 plus yards, 100 plus tackles.
I
that's
just I just want to say too, just to remind people that they beat the Ravens, they beat the 49ers, they shut out the Titans. They had some really quality wins across the board. They beat the Bills. Um, I just think that they were absolutely dominant. It's going to be one of those seasons as a total. Even if he doesn't get a nod, that Houston, it's going to be like one of those seasons where like Houston's defense was remembered as that.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think so. But props to the Bob Wagner. It could be the end of it, but again, incredible
I
run
hope
from him.
not.
But I hope not.
Yeah.
I love Bobby Wagner, and I think the Commanders need a leader like him, or teams need leaders like him, and stuff like
Yep.
that in the league. But I mean, that's pretty baller if you end on exactly 2,000 tackles.
Exactly 2000,
Exactly
Mr.
2,000.
2000. That'd
Yeah,
be his
yeah,
name the rest of
exactly.
his life.
So props to Bobby Wagner again. If that was if the end of his career, a hell of a career. First ballot to be Hall of Famer. He should be. I don't know if he will, but to be, I think he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer just because of how
Easy.
consistent he was. Moving along from defense to offense. I don't know if we're all going to agree on this, but I'm going to go. Speaking of Seattle, I'm going to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba to be the offensive player of the year. Almost 2,000 receiving. I mean, 17, almost 1,800 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. Um, he just absolutely dominated throughout the year. I think everyone was they're expecting a little bit of bring up, but not anything like this. He was the most consistent receiver to me throughout the year, helping Seattle go 14-3, just making big play after big play. It's gonna be fun to see him in the playoffs as well. So I'll keep it quick. Like I said, I think I'm going Jackson Smith, Jigba, Seattle Seahawks. Does anyone else agree, or are we having different people for offensive player of the year?
Different people.
Brian, I'll go
Different
with you this
people.
time.
It has to be CMC for me. If
Hmm.
CMC doesn't put up his season, they're not in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know, every wide receiver gets hurt. Brandon Ayuk is not even close to being even in a helmet. Doing his off the field shit. Brock Purdy decimated. Mac Jones, played well, but he had to rely on CMC to really balance it out. First person ever to get 900 back in two times in his career, and not only two times apart with a good chunk in between. I always said when he came in the league, with the minute those wheels go off that he can't play within the box, he's going to be a top slot wide receiver in his mid 30s, and it's looking like it's going to end up being that case, very soon if he decides to stop running. But he was the workhorse and engine for this team that drove him to the playoffs. That I think they're going to make a deep push, and it's going to be with him.
No.
And on that, he was hurt last year, so it's also like a comeback player of the year too. This is from that, just for a little jump. That's
Yeah.
my pick as well.
Did your pick? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
between some people, so we'll get to come back shortly. But Alex, are you going CMC or did you pick someone else?
I picked CMC
Okay.
too. Yeah, I'll keep it brief because Brian pretty much hit up on everything I want to say. The season they've had, being the 5 seed, overcoming the injuries, and relying so heavily on that offense too with CMC. I mean, the fact that they were well over 2,000, scrimmage yards, 17 total touchdowns. I mean, it was just one of those amazing seasons. And with his previous injury history and the things he's had to come back with in terms of adversity, their strength of schedule, it was just it was a great year.
Yeah. Don't hate it. It'll be interesting to see how that votes. I think a lot of people are going to go JSN, but who knows? Award
Could be
season can be weird.
could be
Puka will be in
JT
the
too.
mix.
Yeah, it
Could
could be weird.
Yeah.
Moving along to the rookies, we'll start offensive rookies. A couple good seasons from some players. You can list some: Ted McMillan, Jackson Dart, Emeka Buka. There was a lot of Tyler Show. We said
Mm.
a lot of good rookies throughout the this season. Um, I'll start it off. I was gonna go with Emeka Ibuka, but his second half of the year really for some reason
Horrible.
disappointed me.
Right.
It was really really disappointing. I thought he was clear cut. Like I thought, oh, he's dominating this award. And then I was between Tyler or Ted McMillan, and I'm going to go Ted McMillan, just because, if it, like we were talking about earlier, cleared 1,000 yards, uh, really had a nice hand in getting this Carolina Panthers offense on track. It took a little while for him and Bryce to kind of get connected,
Hmm.
but once it did, you saw the chemistry there and him start to shine. So for a rookie that helped a team really kind of be a dynamic offense at times, I'm going to go Ted McMillan with the Carolina Panthers. Brian, I'll go with you. Who's your offensive rookie of the year?
Yeah, so he would have been like my 1B. Like honestly, I feel like it's like a co. I think Tyler Show and
Mm.
McMillan should get co on this one. For me, with the Saints quarterback, he had 5 wins on a 6-win team. Once he got plugged in and he really balled out and showed that he has a lot of potential. And I think another year in Kellen Moore's system, he's gonna. I wouldn't be put like this. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a Pro Bowler next year, just in this getting another off season in the system.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It could be interesting to see, especially if Carolina or sorry, if New Orleans adds some weapons to him. Still stabilize that offense. I think it could be very interesting. Alex, who do you have? Are you agreeing with us, or you switching it up on offensive rookie of the year?
No, I had Ted McMillan, 1,000 yards right out the gate. They made it to the playoffs. I'll leave it there.
He's the
Moving, yeah,
second all-time 1,000-yard rookie for Carolina. Can anyone name the first?
Steve
not
Smith.
Steve Smith.
Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh
Oh,
wow,
baby.
wow,
Yeah, the
Ryan.
big boy.
good boy.
With the
Interesting, interesting. Defensive rookie of the year. Couple, like I said, decent candidates there. I'll kick us off. I think Cleveland's sweeping house with the defensive awards. I'm gonna go Carson Schlesinger of the
Yeah, me
Cleveland
too.
Browns. I think he stole the show this year, being a second round pick. 150 plus tackles, 2.5 sacks, couple interceptions. Just a great year overall from him. Helped make this Cleveland Browns defense a little more dynamic. I know they don't have a ton of wins, but you saw him on the field with Myles Garrett. Both of them just jump all right off the page. So I think Cleveland's going to get 2 awards on the defensive end. So give me Carson Schlesinger. Brian, I think you said you agree. You're going with him.
Yeah, I agree. Just off of that though, thinking of other people, I think James Pierce Jr.
Mm.
on Atlanta would be a great pick with
Yeah,
26 total tackles and
yeah,
10 and a half
yeah. Tennis,
sacks
yeah.
with a forced fumble. That was a pick that I'm pretty sure they traded up for him with the Rams to get
Yeah,
him.
they did. Yeah,
And
I
it
remember
really
that pick. Yeah.
proved solid for them. I think him and the other rookie they drafted, I forget at the DN position, is going to be a combo for years to come.
Yeah. Alex, you agree with us, or you pick someone else?
I had James Pierce as well. I thought it was a great year. Quietly went under the radar, but I thought that he contributed more to winning, and I thought he was a game wrecker. He definitely has a bright future in the league. So
Yeah, and looking back on that trade earlier on this year, I think all of us were kind of talking about like this is like the OKC Clippers equivalent, right?
right,
Like
right,
we
Yeah.
all were thinking like, oh my God, like the Falcons are struggling, and the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl and they get like a top 3 pick. But James Pierce was kind of the key reason why they turned the season around, and that pick's not as valuable as it once was. So Falcons fans can rest easy that they got a dynamic player, because I think a lot of Falcons fans look at that trade and are like, okay, it's not as bad. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
he hit, like you hit on that.
Yeah.
It's not like he's looking like a bust and you're like, oh Christ. So that works well there. All right, moving along. We talked to people in the comeback player of the year category. Um, I was in between some people. I was in between like maybe a Dak, maybe a Christian McCaffrey. But you know what? I'm gonna give some love to Trevor Lawrence, who we've bashed
Mm,
before. But I'm gonna go Trevor Lawrence because some people forget that he did miss a decent amount of last season with a shoulder injury. It took him a few weeks to kind of gel with this Jaguars team. But he has them as a contender, which I don't think a lot of us had this Jaguars team. We hyped them up after the Chiefs win. Then the Jags kind of let us down for a few weeks, and we're like, oh boy. And then they turn things right back around. They're looking really, really good. And Trevor Lawrence is looking like the player that was selected first overall out of Clemson. It looks great. You know, again, with the new coaching staff, he's looking fantastic. Again, they're probably the second hottest. I think they are the hottest team in the AFC behind Houston. So at the end of the season, on an 8-game winning streak, he was a big reason why. So give me Trevor Lawrence, comeback player of the year. Alex, who you going with that award?
I'm sticking with my mid-season pick. I got Aiden Hutchinson, 13 and a half sacks, fourth overall. He had a pick and four forced fumbles. Again, on the outside looking in, it's tough to pick a guy who's at missing the playoffs, but I thought he was a game wrecker, and he definitely kept them in contention all year. And just props to him coming back healthy.
That. Brian, where you go?
So mine was CMC, but thinking about it a little bit more, if I have him for offensive player of the year, they're not going to give it to him twice. So I have one choice now, and then I have another guy that I'll have some fun with after. Dak Prescott, you know,
Yeah.
came back after a torn hamstring, and I'm not being a Cowboy fan, but he put up 4,552 yards, 30 to 10 TD to INT, 70.6 QBR, fifth in the league. And the only reason why this team didn't go 0-17 is because of him. And I'm not even joking about that. The defense was that bad. If he got hurt at the beginning of the season, it was Cooper Rush or Joe Milton, they would have lost every single game. And it's very obvious on how bad this team was on defense that Dak really does deserve that contract he got. He's a top 5 quarterback now going in, just statistically and the way he plays now this year. I think he was the number one quarterback under pressure this year, for passing completion and QBR and rating. So he's really stepped up, and I personally think he'll get it. Someone will also think about it. It's a possibility. Does Daniel Jones get the comeback player of the year or not, even though he got hurt? And if that's the case, does he get set up then for next season to be the first ever back-to-back comeback player of the year?
Yeah.
I think he has lower odds than JT on his own team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he put up 3,100 yards, 19 to 8, in the eighth in the league in QBR in 10 games.
Yeah.
If you put another 7 games on there, he's at 4,500 passing yards too on average.
He was tearing it up.
No,
You know?
I don't know. Like, you might get some looks, but again, I think just because
I think you should get votes. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I hope he gets votes.
I think you'll get some votes just because it just like sucks because he was clear cut probably going to be the winner of this award if he didn't go down with that injury. But I think a lot of eyes are going to be on him to potentially be the winner next season, the way he was playing before he got hurt. And just to make a quick point on your pick, Brian, with Dak, like I don't hate it because he was an MVP candidate when the team was had a shot to turn their season around and potentially be a playoff team. Like he was getting MVP consideration. Then the losses started to happen, and then he kind of fell out. But like if that team was competing, he would have MVP votes right now. So again, props to him, especially coming off the injury, because I completely agree with you. Like that defense made the Giants look fantastic in the last week. I know they sat some players and stuff like that too. But even then, week 2, that Russell Wilson looked like he was the Russell Wilson.
You guys scored 80 points against us. I think you scored like 200 points the rest of the season.
Yeah. So you could tell the difference that Dak Prescott made in keeping that team in games. And because again, you can only do so much on the offensive side of the ball because he really did try throughout the whole year to keep that team in, but the defenses would collapse late and teams would win. So don't hate that because I think a lot of people were looking at him potentially be a serious MVP candidate, and he might get some votes here because of the season that he had. But again, he could be in the running for a comeback player of the year for sure. I think all of us are going to have different picks here. It's probably going to be the hardest freaking award, and I'm going to be interested to see what the votes are for this award. But it is Coach of the Year. And you could have literally like 6 different people on this list. You could have Rabel, you could have Mike McDonald, you could have Shannon, like we said. There's a bunch of different coaches in this league that all you can look at and be like, they should win. Liam Cohen as a first-year head coach and what he did at Jacksonville. Ben Johnson, what he did with the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of coaches you can look at and be like, they should win Coach of the Year. I said Vrabel earlier on this year. I keep on flip-flopping on who I think is going to be. I'm going to stick with Vrabel for the New England Patriots because I didn't give Drake May the MVP just because of what he did when he turned that team around. Because he came in, especially after the Patriots fired their first-year coach. We didn't know what the success was going to be right away, but he turned that whole thing around and freaking quickly. And I know they had Drake May and they all that, but he got that team buttoned up. He got that team serious, and now they're looking like contenders in the East. and again, I don't think a lot. We thought there was going to be some success with the New England Patriots, but after back to back 14 and 13, 4 and 13 seasons, they went 14-3. So again, props to him for turning that team around on both sides of the ball. They look really freaking good. And I was loving that we didn't have to talk about the New England Patriots these last few seasons, and it was great. But that was short lived. So give it to Mike Vrabel and the Patriots
The Pats
for
are back.
turning the Pats are back. And yeah, we're going to be talking about them for a while. Alex, who do you have for Coach of the Year?
So my pick was Vrabel up until this morning, and then it started to kind of settle in. It's like, well, Drake May is second in the MVP conversation. You're getting McDaniels back, who had 20 years there with the best offense in the league, year over year, possibly. So I'm going to go with Ben Johnson here. I just think that, winning the NFC North for the first time in 7 years and working with Caleb, in his second year and showing the development, the potential not to give up on him and working with the ceiling that he does have at this current status. You got rookies in that offensive game room, a lot of moving parts. You still have an unproven general manager, going into a future where you don't know what the division is going to look like, with Detroit being uber competitive, Green Bay being perennial with Jordan Love, and Minnesota having a stout defense. So I just think that the difference that he made year over year in this turnaround was phenomenal, and I'm going to rock with him, Ben
Yeah.
Johnson.
I don't hate it, Brian. I'll get your point, your pick out for this. I was talking to my dad recently about the Bears, and I said, how many times last year in close games did we see the Bears just squander it? Like
Yeah.
close wins, Caleb would do something, he'd make a mistake, or the team would squander early late, and like they had a bunch of chances to win throughout last year, and they kept on losing the close games. Ben Johnson came in, he made Caleb comfortable in the clutch moments in the fourth quarter. He made that defense buttoned up, and they've won their close games this year, and it just shows the drastic changes of coaches. Especially in the first year where we didn't know what to expect with Ben Johnson, but the fact that he got these Bears back into relevancy in year one is impressive. So again, I think that's a great pick for Coach of the Year. Brian, who do you have?
I think both of them are great picks. I didn't pick Vrabel just because with Josh McDaniels, right? I saw Brady succeed. I saw Mac Jones succeed,
Yeah.
and now May's fitting into it. It just seems like it might be the system, to be honest with you, because not only is May having a career year, the O line and the receivers and running backs are having a career year, and that just tells me the scheme's working really well, right? With also competent quarterback play. Ben Johnson came in, culture is great and everything like that. I'm not giving it to him because I still need to see more from Caleb Williams to really show me the leadership and mentorship capabilities of Ben Johnson, just regarding quarterback whispering in a sense, right? He got Jared Goff to fix his flaws and made him into a top 10 quarterback. Caleb Williams had more games this season, under 50% completion than I wanted. So for me, it's going to be Liam Cohen. That's just because 13-4 for Jacksonville, 7-2 at home. If Trevor had a bad year this season, he would have been a bust. To be honest with you, and it would have been looking at moving off of him. That's how unsuccessful they've been in Jacksonville and how shaky he's been. And to see him succeed now and go on the run that he has, I attribute to Liam Cohen. Just the resurgence of Travis Etienne, guys like Parker Washington and Brenton Strange making plays and being open on this team. They're just getting steam differently, and they remind me a lot of last season's Tampa Bay Buccaneers in how that offense flowed through Cohen schematically that the Jags now see. Like Brian Thomas Jr. had a shaky season, but towards the end he started picking it up, and Jacoby Myers found himself a home here, and the defense is playing lights out as well. So I really am impressed, and in my opinion, they have a foothold on, this division right now with Houston, in a flip flop in the next years to come, just because of the stability that he's brought.
Yeah, I really like it. Again, I think it took a little while for everything to click in Jacksonville, but we saw what they did in the second half of the year. Just
Mm-hmm.
absolutely impressive from Liam Cohen. And like I said, Brian, again, this is probably going to be one of the closest races for Coach of the Year because, again, we all picked
Mm-hmm.
three different coaches who all could walk away with Coach of the Year, but then there's other
Mm-hmm.
coaches as well that we didn't deep dive in that could walk
Yeah.
away. So this is going to be a real fun, exciting award. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see,
Yeah.
and we'll recap
Mm-hmm.
vote totals and everything in the next
Yeah.
few podcasts once we get that information
And
once players announced. Yeah.
just for quick context, after the Rams loss for The Jaguars, they went on a 9-1 run.
One, I know,
Yeah,
which is just insane.
yeah.
Like I said, which I think a lot of people are like the Texans are the hottest team, but I also think you can make the argument that the Jags are probably the hottest team with the way they ended their second half of the year. All right. Speaking of coaches, the three coaches we picked are all going to be on the sideline this weekend going forward. We got the wild card, and we're not going to go crazy deep dive onto all these games. We're going to do like this, like we kind of do our normal pickums, a point or two on who we're kind of leaning towards and why,
Yep.
so that we're not going on and on and on. And we'll recap everything in the next podcast that happened on wild card weekend. So we'll start off with. I'm going to use a DraftKings in front of me. So I'm going to go the game order that's in front of me. Sorry if that messes your notes, Alex and Brian. DraftKings sponsor us like I do every
Sponsor us.
sponsor us, DraftKings.
We're paid for
Uh,
Please.
this.
I'm Yuka Jeff, so I'm gonna go in order here of the wild card. If I miss something, call it out. But I'm just gonna look here, like I said, on my trusty DraftKings for the wild card round. And kicking us off, we got the Rams and Panthers. Let me just double check everything. I want to make sure we have every game in front of me. I do. Okay. Uh, Rams at Panthers on Saturday. Uh, this is an interesting spread. It is minus 10.5 as of today, as is recording on Tuesday before we go live. It's minus 10.5 in favor of the Rams. On the money line, it's minus 575. Over under 46.5. People, if you forgot, the Panthers did beat the Rams in the regular season in a pretty
Yeah.
convincing game that kind of shocked all of us. But this time around, it's playoffs. It's different playground here. So Rams leading with the big point spread. Brian, I'll start with you. Who do you got in Rams and Panthers?
Rams by about 37. Remember that
Sure, could
that
happen
that
again. Yeah.
yep, it's happening
Flip it,
again.
Nico. Flip
That's
it.
right now. Click record. Basically I'm looking in my glass ball and Nostradamus is telling me that Matt Stafford's going to throw for 5 touchdowns. Every starting wide receiver and running back will have a receiving touchdown. And it's going to be an absolute rout of this team. I think that their Super Bowl was against the Bucks the previous week, and they lost. And I just don't see this team really making any kind of a push. Respectable season, but this realistically, this is looking like a 17 to 20 point win by the Rams.
Don't hate it. Alex, I'll get your points in and then I'll go with mine.
Well, I'm gonna take a deep dive into my glass ball sack, and it's gonna be a 10. It's gonna be well over 10.5 at home. I'm taking the Rams. I don't trust a team to beat the same team twice. I think the Rams know what's at stake, especially with Stafford having the hot year that he had. Again, I love the Rams by at least 10 points. I'm somewhere around 2 touchdowns. I love the over here. And just a noteworthy thing too, Saturday night it is supposed to rain, so there's going to be rain and wind conditions. And I just trust the combination of Stafford and the ground game and McVay's schematics against a rookie coach to take advantage of the situation on the road. So I'm taking the Rams.
Love it. And what is that? I'm looking at the things across the board. This is the biggest spread of wild card weekend.
Yep, that's
Every
it.
other game was more or less a toss up by Vegas. Or the highest after this is 4.5. We'll get into that game, but I'm going with the Rams here. You guys know me. I don't like 10 plus points, but I think the Rams want revenge for that loss, that bad loss
Mhm.
earlier in
Yeah,
the year to them. Because there was moments they were just unstoppable against them, and they kept turning the ball over. I don't think that's happening at this time. So give me the Rams, give me them with the points. I think this is going to be an absolute beatdown. It'll be an exciting week next week in the divisional with Seahawks and Rams. So I think all of us want to see that. So let that happen, please, Rams. Please get a big win over Carolina. This should be an easy win for you. Moving along on Saturday, 8 o'clock game, divisional game. This should be fun and exciting. It's Packers on the road at Chicago. Packers are the road favorite here, -1.5. So Vegas has this as anything can happen in this game, -118 on the money line, over under 45.5. I'll kick us off here. I was this was tough for me. I was flip flopping it like crazy.
Yep.
I'm gonna go with the Bears. I think the absence of Mike Parsons, some members of the defense, and the up and down of Jordan Love at times, especially coming with him being banged up a little bit, is going to cost him here. I love the Bears. and how they've been playing. And as it is in the close games, we've seen them win close games. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I'm probably going to lean looking at the under here. But give me the Bears coming in a close one. Maybe like a 17-14 kind of field goalish kind of game, a back and forth. But Ben Johnson gets his first playoff win as head coach of the Bears. Brian, I'll start with you. Who do you have?
I think personally that this is a must win for Green Bay, or LaFleur is going to get fired. To be honest with you. So I'm taking the Packers by a touchdown. I just think the pedigree of postseason success with them, and Bears are ahead of schedule, and they just, they have all the pieces together. This is going to be the real test for Caleb Williams here. And I always look at my quarterbacks, and I trust Jordan Love. I trust honestly Malik Willis a little bit more than I do Caleb Williams in the bright lights right now.
Don't hate it. Again, I think this is going to be hopefully a fun and exciting game that
Yeah.
can happen. Alex, who do you have this one?
So my heart is taking Chicago because of my Ben Johnson pick, but my brain is telling me to take Green Bay. Just because of the playoff pedigree, I do trust LaFleur. I'm with Brian in the sense that I do think this is do or die for his career and his time in Green Bay, especially as they look towards the horizon, that NFC North, and what the potential is, and their ceiling with Jordan Love in ascension. I think they're trying to shore things up. I don't love the DJ Moore questionable with his knee for this game. That's going to be a huge factor. But it's just really hard to roll with a year two quarterback in his first playoff
Mm-hmm.
appearance. I'm looking more at that than I am looking at Green Bay and its woes on defense. I don't think that Chicago's offense is going to outweigh Green Bay's lack of defense, and I think they'll be able to put up points on Chicago. So for that reason, I'm taking the over, and I love the points for Green Bay as well.
All right. You guys ready?
I'll say this with my luck, Trayvon Diggs will have a game-winning pick six. As a new member of the Green Bay Packers, just to rub it in Dallas's face.
Yeah.
You
He
got to
might he
always
might
squeeze them in.
Yeah,
he might do the Deion Sanders on his way into the end zone just to stick
hundred
it to
percent.
details as well. Moving along to Sunday, which is kicking us off with what might be probably the most exciting game I think in the AFC. It's Buffalo at Jacksonville. Buffalo is favored -1.5, over under 52.5, -112 on the money line. I'll kick us off first. I'm gonna go Buffalo here, but it's mainly because like this is Josh Allen's perfect shot,
Yeah.
and you can't mess this up. There's no Mahomes, there's no Lamar, there's no Burrow. This is your shot to get to the Super Bowl. And again, they're playing probably the hottest team in the AFC in Jacksonville. We just sung Trevor Lawrence's praises. But Buffalo has the experience and the postseason experience, and they know what to do on the road. Whereas again, it'll be interesting to see with Jacksonville, especially at home, if they can, bring the pressure to this Buffalo team. But again, I think this is Buffalo's chance. They got to take advantage. I think they're going to come with a lot of juice. So I really love here taking Buffalo with the -1.5. So give me that. And yeah, I'm going to rock with it. Alex, who do you have?
I got Buffalo. They were my preseason Super Bowl pick coming out of the AFC. I got to stand by them. I do have a lot of confidence in Josh. I know he escaped some of the MVP talks, but he did have 39 touchdowns this year. Just an amazing year. And they were very reliant on him, but I think that ultimately, with the weather conditions, I think this favors Buffalo. Just because I think that, all things considered, I think their ground game is stronger. And if they can force turnovers for Josh and kind of control the pace of the game and time of possession, I expect them to hold out. I think this is a high scoring game, so I love the over here, and I think Buffalo wins by a field goal.
All right. Alex joining me with Buffalo. Brian, are you joining me with Buffalo?
I am not. I like Jacksonville
Oh,
here.
jeez.
I like Jacksonville here by about a touchdown.
Whoa.
Um, I don't like that Bills kicker is questionable with a quadriceps injury. I think that's really hurtful, especially away.
Yep.
I think home field advantage is a big play here. Yes, I agree that I personally think the best running game in the league this year was the Bills between Allen and Cook. But as he led the league in rushing, but I can't trust a team that doesn't have a number one wide receiver. That's my issue here. And they have a solid defense over there. A lot of pressure with Trayvon Walker and the boys on Jacksonville. Who's the guy that's going to step up? Is it Kincaid? Maybe Shakir? Like, you can't be one dimensional in the playoffs. And in my opinion, Buffalo's too one dimensional. So for that, I have them bounce out in this round and McDermott fired.
Yeah, another aspect of it before we move on to the next game is Sean McDermott, because if they get bounced in the first round, he's definitely gone.
And if
Because
he
again,
gets bounced, Kevin Stefanski will be named the head coach of
I
the
wouldn't be
Bills.
surprised. The Bill,
or Joe Brady.
or yeah, like
Yeah.
it'd be
Nah, I think he's a clown,
Take
that
him out
guy.
of the booth.
Yeah, that guy's a clown.
Well,
No way.
one thing's for sure, we're gonna have our boy Mark cleaning up duty on Tuesday, no matter what, next week.
uh, moving along, another game, interesting kind of spread here. 49ers on the road at Philly. Eagles are favored -4.5. Again, this is the second biggest spread other than the Carolina Rams game. Over under 44.5. Eagles -230 on the money line. I'll kick us off here. I really like the 49ers here, and I'm going to take the 49ers, and I'm going to take the
Yep.
points.
Yeah.
Something's happening in Philly that I don't truly understand
The
right now.
collapse.
It's again, I don't know if it's like the second half of last year still trickling into this year. There's something going on with their offense that I just don't truly trust. There seems to be a disconnect between stars and everyone, H. Brown and Saquon and Jalen Hurts. And I think this is going to rear its ugly head here, especially if the 49ers get off to a quick start. Again, Philly's a good team. We know they're a good team. But there's just something weird happening there that I just don't fully trust them in this moment in the first round. And with the way the 49ers have been playing this year, I think they can catch them off guard. And yeah, I really like the 49ers here, and I really like the points. So give me the 49ers, give me the points. Alex, who do you have in this one?
Yeah, I love the 49ers here too. I don't love the spread. I do love the over here. I think this is going to be a relatively high scoring game. I expect to see some fireworks, some early, risk it all type of plays dialed up by Shanahan. I think they're going to try to catch them off guard and kind of keep them on their heels. We know the calling card for Philly, keeping them in these games all year, has been their defense. The defense has been red hot. I just think that Purdy has seen enough film tape. He's had enough playoff experience where he's not going to be overshadowed by the moment, and he's not going to panic. He's not going to fall for some of the tricks that the secondary is going to try to dial up for Philadelphia. And I expect C-Mac to run it down their throat, and I expect him to be a little more creative than what Philly has in store. So I'm taking San Francisco by about a field goal or 4 points, and I love the over here too.
Thank you. Brian, who do you have?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think there's a full collapse in Philadelphia. I think this is going to be the most head coach fires in a single season. I see Sirianni getting fired after this season, after just being absolutely abysmal as a leader here, not being able to just keep this team in check. I think hiring your friend and Kevin Patullo doesn't help because you can't really, keep a friend in check while he's just having a lackluster offense. Barkley regressed. AJ Brown's just can't function. Devontae Smith had a good year, but it's felt weird for him too.
It's been
Hurts,
so up and down for him.
yeah, Hurts regressed. The O line was bad. The defense is mid. The Banjo's holding it together to make it good at times, great at times as well. 49ers have all the pieces. Kyle Shanahan's still there. CMC and the boys. And I'm going to do something I did with Alex R once. I'm going to share my screen quick if this works. Let me see. And if you see to the left right now, let me know when you guys see here. So
Yeah.
thank you, Next Gen Stats. This is the route tree of this current season of AJ Brown on average on one of his games, right? So now we see this. This was his last year with Kellen Moore. Right there, that's your problem. You want to know why this team can't, succeed? Just look at the variability last year.
Yeah.
And then look at how good the Saints were, in variability with multiple unknown name guys doing well and making a stretch at the end of the season. Now this year with Philadelphia, basic route concepts that don't work against advanced schemes and defense in this day and age.
Yeah, love it. Again, added stats to back up your point. Always appreciate that, Brian.
Love the visuals.
But again, like I said, their offense hasn't been dynamic. They've been flat. And again, you can't come to the postseason with a flat op. Like you just can't. Like you just this team is just,
one dimensional does not work, and
the
tush push is gone.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, and it's probably dead after this season.
Oh yeah, it's definitely gone. It's 1,000% gone. But yeah, move along. Again, this should be interesting, but I really, really like the 49ers here because again, there's just something happening in Philly.
Me too.
I don't truly trust them, and I'm not trying to to say it. I'm not giving Philly hate because I'm a Giants fan. I'm just doing this as a football fan. Like it's bizarre. And even Eagles fans that I know say it is weird what is happening over there. It just doesn't really seem to be making sense. And we'll see what happens. Maybe we get some answers following their loss if they do lose in round one. But we shall see. Moving along to end Sunday night, we got the Chargers at New England. This should be again interesting game. New England's favored -3.5. Over under is 46.5. The money line's 192. I just spoke praisingly of the Patriots. I think their season is going to continue here. They're going to keep on rolling. The Chargers, I think, are just too banged up now. Again, props
Yeah.
to them for holding it together and making it to the postseason where it looked like things could fall apart really quickly. But I just think New England, too much firepower, too much juice, too much confidence right now. Give me New England. Give me them on the points. Alex, we'll start with you. Who do you have? Chargers in New England.
Oh, I got New England easily. I expect them by a touchdown. I love the under here. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, something like a 20-13 type of game. But I just don't trust a Southern California team in cold weather. I'm going to keep it pretty basic, pretty feeble-minded. I expect Vrabel to be the better coach here. I expect this to be kind of a coach clinic, to be honest with you. And with McDaniels and what he has in store for this offense, I expect him to run it down their throat, get that defense tired very early. And I just think Harbaugh's. I think it's time to go home for this year.
Good. We'll see again. Props to Chargers get in there despite the injuries, but again, I think there's a team that is always. I don't know. Hopefully they get on the upward trend here, but again, they're always a team that always seems to fall flat at certain moments like this. Brian, who do you have?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the Pats win by like 10 points here. I really you guys cover them pretty well. For the Chargers, it's just I get again no identity this season. Um,
Yep.
You had Quentin Johnston looking like he'd be 1,000-yard wide receiver this year, and then he fell off towards the end because they went away from him to start running the ball more. And then the run game didn't work, and then Keenan Allen was getting 6 catches a game. It just seems like, and then McConkey was going. There's just a lot of like variability in this team where you don't know who it's actually getting run through, and it doesn't feel as if there's an identity out of this Chargers team, which I'm a little shocked about based on the head coach's experience on building a culture. I'm a little disappointed with what I'm seeing out of LA right now.
Yeah, yeah, Alex, you go. Then I can.
Yeah, important note too, just to add on to that with what we're not expecting with the Chargers too is this may be another weather game too because again, it's gonna be 60% rain during the day. It's gonna drop below 25 degrees and it's gonna be continuing to rain. So you're probably expecting snow well into the night.
Yeah.
I think that favors the ground game with New England easily.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to wrap up the Chargers too, I think their identity kept on changing because everyone on the offensive line kept on getting banged up.
This is true.
They were
Yeah,
trying to
everyone.
just scatter to figure out like, are we a passing team or a running team or offensive? Like it was like they tried to figure out something and then someone else on the offensive line got hurt, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
shit, who you're going to plug in now? And I think that really cost them. Where I think maybe next year we'll see if hopefully everyone is fully healthy and stays. Maybe we start seeing that identity thing. But I think they also just to give a little excuse to the Chargers, the amount of injuries on that offensive line, I think constantly was changing on which direction they wanted to go because they had no
Fair
idea what
point.
to do because someone was getting hurt every other week on that offensive line. Um,
Yeah.
but to wrap up Wild Card Weekend and to wrap up this podcast, we'll talk. To me, I'm saying lock of the week, and Nico gave us some picks. He was supposed to be on. He was a little under weather, so I'll let Nico. I'll tell him what Nico kind of has too. But it's the Texans on the road at Houston, but Texans are
At
favored
Pittsburgh.
-3 at Pittsburgh. Sorry, over under 39.5 money line 166. This is a lock of the week for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna hammer the Texans and hammer the -3 right now before the spread changes. I'm probably gonna do that before I go to sleep tonight. Uh, I think the Texans are gonna be all over Aaron Rodgers, especially with the immobile corp. They're just gonna be constant pressure. I think the Steelers are gonna have a tough time. I know they'll have DK Metcalf back. But I think the Texans are just going to be dominant as we've seen them, especially on the defensive end. And I think the Steelers are going to have the answers. So give me the Texans and give me them with the points because I think this is the lock of the week. Alex, do you agree or are you switching it up?
Oh no, I think this is for sure a lock of the week. And for all the reasons you said, again, I expect a low scoring game similar to the Chargers in New England, but for different reasons. I think this is the best defense in the league. It's why I picked Will Anderson for Defensive Player of the Year. I expect something like a 16-13 type of game. This is definitely a hospital game for Rodgers. It's unfortunately a tough way to go out, but I expect Tomlin to be in Cancun by Friday.
We shall see. We shall see. Brian, are you agreeing with us?
You see this lock right here? Throw it out the door.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh wins by a touchdown.
Wow. Okay.
Sometimes weird things happen, and what I saw in the last week of the game, they play a very good pass rush, and the Ravens do a very good pass rush, and he held through. I think DK Metcalf coming back with a 2-game suspension that he feels like he got gypped. He's gonna be pissed the fuck off, and I'm expecting a very, very close game. It's a veteran team against an up and coming team. I always value experience over the athleticism at this point at this point of the year. I think it's to be close, but there's a little magic left at the end of that Rodgers zip on the ball, man. And I don't know. It's the AFC. If the AFC is so unpredictable this year, there's so many good teams. If Steelers make it to the AFC Championship, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, wow, that's crazy. Like I don't know. There's a weird feeling around this team right now. They're clicking on weird angles. They get their number one wide receiver back. The run game is great, and it's at home. I don't think people realize how hard it is to play in Pittsburgh at home at this time of year in a playoff game.
Yeah. I mean,
And to be honest, Stroud's been extremely inconsistent this season.
Do you know that there's 3 rules in this world: death, taxes, and Pittsburgh's first round bounce out? And also too, the other thing is I will amend my pick only if I see another priest putting holy water on the end zone. Then I will come back to
yeah.
Good.
Father's coming out with the bucket.
Yeah. Oh god. We'll see. Alex Nico's pick here was he agrees with Alex and I. He says Pittsburgh loses by 14 points as Rodgers can't escape the pass rush. So that's Nico's one thing. Another interesting thing for Nico is that both 7 seeds win this week, and then they upset the higher seed the following week. So he gave us his final 4, and I hope Nico can back this down. He'd be on the podcast. But his final 4 are Bills, Chargers, Rams, Packers. That's his
in what fucking world, Nico?
That's his weird thing. So I'm not looking at brackets, so I don't know if this is correct intel, but I will trust Nico and his betting ways and all that stuff. That he gave me a correct final 4 that could possibly logistically happen. But yeah, those are Nico's things. We wish you were here, Nico, but I wanted to give you your picks here on your.
Well, yes, shout out and love to that wonderful SOB. But he does have 103 temperatures. That might be getting to his head here.
It might be.
It's possible.
It's very possible.
It's very possible.
I'm pretty chilly right now in my room, and my pick for the Super Bowl right now is Jacksonville versus the 49ers.
That's unwatchable. First off,
100%. I wouldn't even turn the TV on.
You said Sirianni was going to get fired after winning a Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, 49ers versus Jacksonville. 49. Listen, they should have fired Sirianni after the Super Bowl last year. Look at this season, how it went.
I love my Bills Rams pick from day one.
I
just you know what it is. 49ers are just catching it at the right time right now, and I'm just like, why not? Like they have the easy side to the NFC Championship right now, at least, and then you're realistically Seattle. It's gonna be Seattle versus the Rams. Whoever comes out of that's a little banged up. That's a hard game, you know. It's in division. You know what I mean? So anything could go basically, you know, and anything could happen. And then you look at, and same thing, you know, Pats versus Jags, you know, how long will the rookie really do well with the Pats here? I feel and the Broncos, I don't trust for shit.
We didn't even talk about Denver. Yeah.
Because that's exactly the point. They have the best record and no one cares.
Because you're
not impressed. I'm not impressed by them.
But you guys heard me all year in our group chat. I don't trust Denver because
I don't trust Bo Nix.
No. They're boring, but I trust them.
No, but the thing is, I don't trust their offense. Their defense is really freaking good, but you can't tell me that, like we've seen time and time again with this Denver offense, is that they can drop 30, they can come back from down 30 something against my Giants. They did that, right? We saw that. And the next week, I think they scored like 60. They didn't even like
against Dallas,
points against Dallas. Like there's just this team, and again, like Bo Nix has had his moments, but then there's like I just don't trust his offense. There's similar things like what's their identity?
Yeah.
And 1 week they're clicking, and then 1 week they're inept. They're not a consistent offense, and that's it. Like everyone's like, "Oh, you're bashing on them. You think they suck?" I'm like, I just don't I love their defense. Their defense is really good, top to bottom. They're probably a top three defense in this league, but their offense scares me. Again,
Yeah. Hey, listen, if I was at plus 7,000 altitude, I would be a 13-3 team too.
yeah.
You know,
Well, that's
so
they
and
get
that's the only that's really the true advantage of this playoffs is that high altitude.
yeah. Then
It's real.
I compared them too at times to like the Chiefs, where they were winning these like close game, comeback games, scrappy.
Yeah.
But then when it like the bright lights kind of came at times, so they just like would scrap through, and yeah, that's fine, you could do that. But there's gonna be a moment where it comes to a head, especially if you play a better team, and especially in a team in the AFC, like that's desperate.
You know
And if
what
you
this
come out
team
flat,
is?
you're gonna get steamrolled.
That's that Vikings team that lost to the Giants.
Yeah,
They won a bunch of close games and then they
close
got blown
games,
out in
and
round
then
one.
yeah, they got wrecked in round one. My last fleeting moments of happiness as a Giants fan
Yeah.
a few years ago. All right, with that, we had a great conversation. Alex, Brian, thank you so much. Thanks everyone for listening to Yards After the Catch. Stay tuned. It's the playoffs. We got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned for our clips. Stay tuned for our picks. We're gonna have a lot more content here on Spotify and on YouTube. So make sure you follow
Yeah.
there, and we have an Instagram page as well. So make sure you hammer the follow on our Instagram and stay tuned. If you have things, comments, you have questions, you have things, please feel free to reach out to us. One of us in our vast podcast pool will respond to you,
Yes.
hopefully positively. Unless you piss one of us off about one of our teams, and you might get a negative one, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Shit talking always welcome.
Yes.
Shit talk's always welcome. We will always talk positively back. We will never bash you guys unless it's some asinine comment.
I
Uh,
bash myself. It's fun.
yeah, we all bash each other. We all bash ourselves and bash each other. But with that, we have fun here in Yards After the Catch. We really appreciate you guys listening and watching, and we'll see you guys next time. And we're super excited. It is playoff football time in the NFL. All right,
Let's
everyone. Have
go.
a great one.
Playoffs.